Hey guys, Marijka here, Milton Public Library, back with you today with more books. We are on the third and final week of our award-winning and classic books, so here we go. The first book that I am bringing you today is called Song for a Whale by Leanne Kelly. Iris is like this tech genius. Anything you put in front of her that is techie, she absolutely can figure it out. But because she is deaf, everyone in school treats her like she's dumb, which unfortunately is a problem that a lot of deaf people face in the outside of the deaf community, that people seem to think because they can't hear that means that there's something wrong in other places, and there's absolutely not. So this leaves Iris feeling very lonely. So even though her family is really supportive and like her grandparents are deaf, and she has deaf friends, it just makes her feel like she's really not understood, and she wants to go to a deaf school, but her mom won't let her. So she is in a regular hearing school, and she just isn't like meshing with these people. So when she hears about this whale called Whale 55, who makes sounds at a decibel that other whales cannot understand, she feels like this like kinship and this instant attraction to this whale, and she decides that she wants to make a song that this whale can hear, and wants to meet him. But the whale is 3,000 miles away, so how is she ever going to get to him to bring her song? This is a really great book that looks into the deaf life and a good story about perseverance. So that is A Song for a Whale by Leanne, I think it's Lynne Kelly. I really gotta get better at this, sorry. The next book that I have for you is called Greetings from Witness Protection, and this book is by Burt. So, Nikki never knew her mother, and her father's in jail, and her grandma raised her for a while, and her grandma taught her how to be a pickpocket, and then this, when she was very young, so then this led to Nikki developing into being a kleptomaniac, which means that she steals things, and she almost like has to steal things. She doesn't even think about it. She just has to like take things. So she has been living in the foster care system for a while. So it's obvious that Nikki is not or has not led a very normal life. So the government comes and they are looking for a daughter to put in with a family who has recently gone into witness protection, and to really make it seem like they're not them, they decided to get a daughter and have her into the family. So they're looking into Nikki, and it just so happens that Nikki looks like the mom, which is really cool. So now Nikki is going from this crazy life to this other crazy life, but at another extreme, that now she has a mom and a dad and a younger brother, which is a really hard adjustment. So, but she is doing pretty good, and she is living this, what most people would consider a normal life, and she's going to school, and she's doing extracurricular activities, and she has friends. But the problem is that she, in order to maintain her and this family's protection, she has to like remain under the radar, which is really hard in this day and age with social media. So it's just a really great story, and that is Greetings from Witness Protection by Burt. The next book that I have for you today is The Trumpet of the Swans, and this book is by E.B. White. She also did Charlotte's Web. So Louis is a swan, and he was born without a voice, which made everyone around him think that he was defective. But Louis didn't let this get him down. He had big dreams. And even though he couldn't make the sounds that swans needed to make to attract a mate, Louis knew that he could figure out a different way to get this pen's attention. And a pen is a female swan. I had to Google that because I didn't know what it was. And he's determined to figure out how to catch this one pen's eye, right? So the great thing about this story is, like Charlotte Web, it weaves like unrealistic animal situations in with a realistic human setting. So I think that that's kind of neat how that can happen. So these animals do pretty crazy things and nobody seems to bat an eye. Like the swan is playing a trumpet and he writes on this blackboard, but in a very human world. So it's a bit silly, but in a really, really good way. So if you ever read Charlotte's Web and you absolutely loved it, this is also an amazing book. If you haven't read Charlotte's Web, you can still read this one and then go read Charlotte's Web. So that is The Trumpet of the Swan by E.B. White. The last book that I have for you today is Peter Pan, and this book is by J.M. Barrie. Peter Pan is a story about a boy who refuses to grow up. Everyone, even if you've never seen the movies or read the book, probably knows some aspect of Peter Pan or some version of Peter Pan. So one night he finds himself in the home of Wendy and her two brothers, and there he befriends them. Although I use that word loosely because I just don't believe Peter could be friends with anyone. He's very, very selfish and I guess narcissistic, really. Through Peter, Wendy and her brothers go on these like crazy adventures, and they go to Never Land, and they meet all of these wild characters and go through these really crazy situations. The story is short, and it can be interpreted a few different ways, but for today's purpose, I'm just going to interpret it like the Disney way and say that this book is a fun adventure about the refusal to grow up. So that is Peter Pan, and it is by J.M. Barrie. I do want to say that the portrayal of Native Americans in this book is not very well, and I get that that was the time then. I guess I don't understand that, but the book is a classic, and the book in other terms, I guess, is okay, and it's a fun read. So I just feel that it's important when you pair something that might be not so great in certain aspects with a book that has managed to use that same thing, but in a way better way that is not offensive to groups of people. So I want to bring up a wonderful book written by an Indigenous woman that is just like Peter Pan, that is new, and it is called Sisters of the Never Sea by Cynthia Lightich Smith. So that book is also great, and you have the old and problematic with the new and not problematic. So there you go. All right, those were my last books for the award-winning and classics. I hope that you've loved all of them, but at least want to pick up a couple of them. We do have them here, or a way to get them here at the Milton Public Library. So we do hope to see you. Bye.